Here's our latest project, Friend's boat. The cockpit, the plywood in the deck between the top layer of glass and the bottom layer of glass is delaminated. So we're going to replace that. We were going to try gluing it up, but it's so badly delaminated right across that we're actually going to cut out, use the line on the rough area as our guide, and we're going to cut it out and leave the bottom layer of glass there, pull the shitty old plywood out and glue new plywood in with epoxy, and then we'll put the deck back on with epoxy. So you'll be able to see how we replace plywood core where it's delaminated. So if you have a look, see how it's pulled right away. This has been glued up once before. The hatches were taken out, glued up once before, but it's delaminated again. It's just because the timber's so far degraded. But we'll sort her out and she'll look like new by the time we're finished. Brian's using the Makita multi tool to cut right around the edge. See the line? Goes right around, so he's cut it right out. Now if we're lucky, we should be able to pop this beast out because all the plywood was loose underneath it. So let's see what happens. Big moment. Here she comes, coming up. Hello, we've got a tribe of animals in there. All little greeblies. Absolutely buggered. Look at them. Look at the little buggers. They've been having home there. So we've pulled her up and we'll dry it out and we'll put some new ply in. Look at it. Absolutely stuffed. Alright. Here we go. This is what's left of the plywood. A pile of mush. Brian's just about got it all pulled up. Once he gets all of that done, there's Brian having, oh, he's smiley, he's been wrecking. We'll then might have to do some fairing and then we'll put new plywood down and then we'll glue our top sheet. There she is. All the glass is up, all the plywood's up, well the shitty mush that was there anyway, and ready to go. So we'll let it dry out. It's still very damp down in these back corner areas down in here, so we'll leave it a week to dry out. Then what we'll do, we'll prop up so that it's reasonably level. We might have to put some props under here to get it level, and these areas where it sags, so we'll get some plywood under there and we'll put some props in so it's level, and then we'll glass it all back in and it'll be stronger than ever. We'll use the Bote Cote epoxy resin with some gluing and filleting filler so it's like smooth peanut butter, and it'll be stronger than the original. So that's the next step. We're now wetting out the edges. If you look, John is using a paint brush and going along the edges to wet out the timber. We've put a coat of epoxy on the old glass, or our base for the glass, getting ready to put our fresh piece of plywood. So here's our new piece of plywood to go in. It's a piece of gaboon, so we should actually make the cockpit lighter as well as stronger, because gaboon plywood is only 470 kilos per cubic metre, compared with other plywoods that are up around 680, 700 kilos. And Brian's giving the piece we cut out from the top of sand ready to go back in once we get the plywood down. So next step, put a layer of goop down, and then we'll put our ply down. We're mixing Bote Cote epoxy resin here. I'm using a larger container because we're going to put gluing and filleting filler into it, this fella here, and we're going to mix it until it's like between creamy and thick peanut butter, probably creamy peanut butter. So I'll put 100 ml of resin in, and we're about to throw it in the microwave for a few seconds. Probably 10 seconds is enough. Mixing gluing and filleting filler in with our Bote Cote resin. See that's what I'd call tomato sauce, or a little bit thicker. If you look, when you first put it in, it's quite thick and you think, oh, I've used too much filler. Well, once you get it mixed in, it mixes in really easy and you'll go, oh gee, I need to put more in. So I use old tablespoons. I find they work really well. When we're doing large quantities like this, I'll throw a couple of tablespoons in at a time. If you're mixing into smaller containers like this one, you'll only use maybe 1 tablespoon at a time. Otherwise you get too much powder and it won't mix in. So if you look, it sits on top, and you'll notice this, it doesn't dust up everywhere. It's got a dust suppressant in it, so when you're mixing it, it's a lot safer to use. Plus it's got some colorant in it to make it look like plywood or timber, so that when it's mixed in, it's a browny color. It's not white like all the others, so it's a lot more user friendly for the person doing a stitch and glue kayak or something, like a canoe or kayak or something like that you want to see the timber. Whereas with the white, it looks ugly. Now, see how that looks quite thick at present? By the time we get all that mixed in and looking good, I reckon it'll still need a couple more teaspoons of, tablespoons of filler in it. So just like baking a cake, don't mix it too fast, because what happens if you mix it too fast, you aerate it and you get a lot of air mixed in with it, and scrape right around the edges to make sure you get it mixed in well. So you only want to be mixing like that. Pull it up through it, don't mix too fast. You don't want a whole heap of air, and see how it's come quite smooth. So that's not quite what I'd call smooth peanut butter. It's still quite runny, so we'll throw a couple more in. We don't want it too thick. We're not going to get it as thick as what we would if we were filleting, because we want it to press down. When we put it down, we're going to trowel it, and we want it fluid enough so that it'll still spread out. So see that at present, it looks like, oh, we've put too much filler in, what have I done? Wait until we get it mixed in, you'll see. And this is going to be a good batch of goop. If you look in here, we're just spreading it out at present. You'll see where I've already done that side. We've just used a tiling trowel to groove it. And the idea of that is, if there's any, it helps it push down flat when we put it down on the deck. If we don't do that, what'll happen, where the epoxy is quite thick on the high spots, it won't let it settle down into the low spots. So by using a normal tile spreader, groove spreader, it allows us to get it out. So we've got to work fairly fast here because it's quite a hot day and we're working out in the sun. So what I'm going to do now, just use the tile spreader. See how she spreads out? Like ploughing a paddock. Now we pre-coated this with some Bote Cote, that's why it's shiny, and that's important because, believe it or not, fiberglass is quite porous, and it's important to put the straight resin down first to fill in the weave and give it that good base for it to bond to, and that's what we've done here. Now, put our epoxy fill down with gluing and filleting filler till it's a nice thick creamy peanut butter. We've glassed it, or we've put a coat of resin on the underside of our ply. We're now about to drop it in and then push it down. And the idea of grooving is so that if there's any high spots, it'll help the filler spread better. If you just put it down flat, if you've got it too thick in places, it won't spread and move to the low spots. So that's why we've grooved it. Anyway, let's get into it before. So what we've done, we've got our plywood down. We've then put our old deck back down that we cut out. We've clamped up around our holes, which were low spots, and I'm just going around the edge now, and we're just going to fill in around the edge. It's actually sitting a little bit higher. We probably could have got away with using 4mm plywood, but we used 6 because it's just going to give it that much more strength. And this deck was bouncing like anything before, and it's already brick shit house material. So, you know, even before the epoxy dries, we've got something that's heaps stronger. So you wait until it's dry. It's going to be extremely strong. And then we're going to paint it with tread grip. So we'll show you how to put tread grip on it down the track. Alright, here we are, job complete. We've put the floor down, and we've filled some 20-litre drums with water, and they're providing the weight. They'll spread it, and the epoxy will slowly level out with the weight on it. It's already gelled, so I don't see it's going to push too much more epoxy out. And always remember, epoxy loves gap, so it doesn't hurt. You don't want to put too much weight down, you just want it there to hold it in position. And anyway, we'll see what she kind of scrubs up like once we pull the drums out tomorrow or the next day. Here we are. We've got the deck all cleaned up and masked up. We've masked right around. The edges have all been cleaned. We've done that with a multi-tool with a carbide tip blade on it, and smoothed it down, beveled it down, so it's nice and smooth going in. And now we're starting the tread grip. So I've done a little bit of tread grip up the front there, front of the cockpit, and I'll work my way back to the back of the cockpit. First coat, we're just going to put it on with a brush, and I'll be very liberal with it. This paint's designed to go on fairly thick. If you try and spread it too much, you'll find you'll pull the rubber out. It's got synthetic rubber in it. Brilliant non-slip paint on wet surfaces. But if you try and spread it too thin, it bunches up the rubber and it looks ugly. So nice thick coats on with this, and away you go. We're going to go for 3 coats on this, but today I'll get a coat on, let it dry overnight, and then 2 more coats will go on tomorrow. There we go, first coat of tread grip applied. Looks $1 million already. We'll put a total of 3 coats on before we finish. So you could leave it at least 3 hours between coats. It's about 4 in the afternoon now, so we're going to leave this until tomorrow morning, and then another 2 coats will go on tomorrow. So if a coat goes on tomorrow morning before about 10, we'll put the next coat on by about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and this old girl will look like $1 million. And then all we need to do is cut around the edge at the bottom of the masking tape before we pull it off. If we just pull the masking tape off without putting a mark along the edge of it, it'll send the edge of the tread grip all furry, and we don't want that. Anyway, you'll have to sit back and wait now and see what it looks like once we get it all finished and the masking tape off it. Okay, Steve's put another coat of tread grip down, a U-Butte non-slip paint, and it's looking smart already. That's 2 coats. So he's brushed it on with a foam brush, just roughly put it on, and it's made it easier to get up around the sides there. When he's done it, it goes into the corner quite well. And then he smoothed it out with a foam roller, what it does, it takes out the brush marks and tends to stipple it better, so that gives it a more lumpy surface. Here we are. We've now got 3 coats of tread grip on our deck, and I've started pulling the tape off. Fairly easy to pull off. If it's not going furry, just pull up like so, pull it away from it, and it'll pull a nice clean edge. If you pull down or just pull straight out, it'll tend to send it furry. So just pull up like so. Now notice how there's been 2 or 3 different levels of masking tape put on in places. The reason being so we could keep it flat. So just pull him up, and if it rips off like that, just start again. But see how we've now got a nice clean edge, and looks $1 million on what it looked before. And that's our deck completed. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to put some bungs back, or some portholes back in it, manholes, and away we go. Rightio, clean our brush off, just clean the excess off, back into the can, and then we give him a wash out with water. Water's your thinners, water's your solvent. The only paints to use these days. 20 years ago the technology used to be crap, but I tell you what, these water-based paints we sell and use, they're absolutely brilliant. And the tread grip is a non-slip. Synthetic rubber, and boy, it can be absolutely saturated and you still lock on. Not like all the stuff with grit in it, silicates, where as soon as it gets wet, especially free water, it becomes slippery. You know, it's hopeless. There we are. I've sat the brush in some water for a few minutes. Just let it melt the bulk of it out. And from there, we'll give her a bit more of a wash out. So, I like to use hot water when I clean. I find it works better. Look at that, that brush is pretty well clean. We'll give it a little bit of a massage. Just massage it under the water. It'll get the last bit out. See that? There's bugger all left in there. And I normally just hit them with the brush upside down like that. Give her a few shakeouts. And the old brush is ready to go again. Can't do that with your solvent-based stuff. So what we're going to do now is bed the hatches down. A little bit of preparation work, and if you do the preparation first, it'll save you a lot of problems. So the first thing you do, stick your hatch in the hole, sit him down, and then draw right around it. Right, as we've done here. And then you tape around it so that you cover the black line all the way around. Then we're going to stick our hatch back down, lip back down, and cut right around it. The other thing we'll do, we'll tape up around the edge of the hatch ring, and the reason for that is we're going to put some goop on this lot, and we don't want it going everywhere. And you'll see how easy it is to do a nice neat finish using this technique. Okay, you'll notice we've taped up around all of the two hatches now, the ports. The next step is to get the old knife, and we're going to run around the edge. So we'll run right around the edge. So you cut right around the edge. Oops, see how that's moving on us? You don't want that. It's no good for you. We basically want it to come about 1 millimetre or 2 clear. Once you cut around the edge, you just peel all the tape off that's inside the edge. Okay, just go around, peel him off. Where it's cut the line, and lift it up. So you'll see we've got a nice neat hole cut out now, and we've just run some Fixtech MSP 190 around the edge. Because there's a bit of timber exposed, I want to make sure there's plenty of sealant in around those edges. So we've run that around now. The next thing is we're going to put sealant around on the lip of the hatch, and then push them down, and just until it beds down. And I'll show you how that goes. I've now run 2 layers of Fixtech MSP 190 around the edges, and right into the corner, and then another one on the flat area. And now we'll put him down in place. There. So we'll just push it down nicely. What we're out to do is get it so it just comes out the edge. See here where we've got it just coming out the edge? That's all we want to do. Just push him down. Because once we've got it that far, it's sealed and it'll lock down. We don't even need fasteners on it. Here's the tape around it, so that when we clean it up, we don't end up with goop everywhere. Down, that's it. Now we'll just run our paddle pop stick around, clean the excess off, and we'll use that. Oh, the holes are all pretty good. We want to fill these holes up, because that's what's going to help hold it down in place. We've got a bit of gap there, so we'll spread him back that way a bit. We've got excess goop here, so we'll put it into the hole. That's that one full. Feed it down into it. So I'll just go around and clean it all up now. Make sure we push right into those corners. step is the old wet finger. Just run the finger over the top. Just spread it down. Push it down into it. Now we'll run the finger around the edge. Make sure we pushed it right in. Right around. And then I reckon I'd be surprised we haven't got goop hanging out the bottom in most places, so we'll just run around there as well and spread it out. That's pretty damn good. That'll never leak again. So now that we've done that, before it dries, we'll pull the tape up. As you'll see, we've got a nice, fairly good edge there. So we'll pull the top off. Look at that. Make sure you get all the tape off now. You don't want to let it dry on there, it'll create problems for you. There we go. There's a little bit of pencil mark there, but that'll wash off. So I'll leave him dry now. We'll just give that a final lick down with the old damp finger. We must have been a bit out of whack over here because it looks like it's gone underneath. It must have the tape must have been stuck down properly. That's alright, there's nothing to worry about. And just clean these little bits off here. We don't want lumps left on the seal. So just run around and take them off. Look at that. Made to measure. Here's our rear one all finished off. And now we've got the forward one where we've got the goop on it. And all we've got to do now is run the wet finger around it and it's all finished off. So we'll get him finished and I'll give you a look. There we go, our floor job's finished. Tape's off around the edge. Look how smart it looks, you know, compared when you first saw it a couple of weeks ago. And looking really good. So these hatches here, they go down onto it and I'll screw in. I'm not going to screw them in until it's dry, but they'll screw on there. Look how neat it'll look. And they go over the edge, so you haven't got a problem with water getting trapped in underneath them. That's why I've selected those hatches. Job complete. So cockpit floor, you can have a ball in there now and you won't break that.